I'm Olivia. I am a wildlife and travel photographer. My goal is to inspire people to give a shit.
I'm Pat. Spent 10 years in the Marine Corps. I have strong views on conservation and the U.S. Constitution.
We will discuss topics like yoga,
How to gut a deer and not fuck up your meat.
orgasmic meditation,
Full body orgasms.
life after divorce.
Life after death.
Why the fuck do we still use plastic bags?
Why can't everyone learn guitar in school?
What do you look for in the perfect photo?
What's in my food?
What's in my mouth?
We might also dabble in a little bit of motorcycles. That's right. She rides a Harley, bitches. While our upbringings drastically differed,
Our ability to communicate and be open-minded has allowed us to strengthen our relationship. So this podcast is here for you to broaden your horizons, possibly change your perspective on a topic. So we hope you enjoy listening to the Hunter and Hippie. Welcome to the Hunter and Hippie. My name is Olivia,
my name's Pat.
and this is episode number 24. We hope that you guys had a wonderful holiday and are just settling in right before the new year. This is actually a episode that I think applies really well with people setting, New Year's resolutions and trying to focus on being a better version of themselves, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be, New Year's resolution that you could actually follow.
That you could actually, and not like going to the gym and
Right.
Going
I'm going to go
one
to the gym,
month.
I'm going to lose 20 pounds. No, you're not.
Yeah. So this episode we're just going to discuss boundaries and how to set healthy boundaries, how to identify when a boundary's been crossed, how you feel in the body, because this is kind of a difficult one, especially if you are a people pleaser and you have family members and loved ones who already kind of take advantage of you not having healthy boundaries. So we wanted to start off by identifying healthy ones versus bad ones. Do you want to start, love?
Yeah. What are healthy boundaries?
Thank you for asking me that. Wow, that was great.
It took me a long time to think of it.
Yeah. So a healthy boundary is not when you say, if you do this, then I'm going to do that, which is what you would call an ultimatum. So that is not you putting your foot down. That is you saying this, then that will happen, rather than just saying something like, no, I don't like that. Please stop doing that. This makes me feel bad. Like if people start to disrespect you, you don't need to give them an explanation as to why you want them to stop. So being really clear in the boundaries that you would like to set is probably the first step in achieving that, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it's kind of like an analogy for your body, because when I think boundaries as a hunter, right, I think property lines. I think where I can and can't access. So if I cannot access private property and you set a healthy boundary for yourself, that is in its own your own private property. So if you treat your boundaries as a form of your own property, then you can think of it as, don't let people trespass on you, etc. But just as an analogy for you narrow-minded knuckle draggers like me.
I like it. Probably also is inspired because we spent the last 2 mornings and evenings trying to find Bambi because we have a tag to fill, and somebody wanted to wait until the last 3 days that he had off to do this. So
it's all right. We can still knock it out tonight.
Maybe. We'll see.
And on top of hunting over the last 3 days, we also dealt with neighbors and easements and that whole bit. So that was fun. That guy's an asshole, but that was fun. And if you're listening, fuck you. Don't park on private property. But
hey, no healthy boundary right there. But you guys went down there to start to establish one.
And we established that. And then he parked on someone else's private property.
Yeah. So the first step, I want to go back to the episode and not physical property boundaries.
Yeah.
Getting clear on what it is you don't like. It might be a family member likes to constantly I don't know, poke fun at something that you're insecure about. That's kind of, I'd say, a typical one with family members. It could just be like, hey, I know we've been joking this way for, my whole life, but it does, I don't feel good when you do it. And having that self respect and putting that line in the sand, and as Pat says, that boundary of like, this is my personal property. You're not allowed in here with that kind of bullshit. You really start to feel empowered. And I'm saying you as in me saying stuff like that in my life because I've been a people pleaser, the fixer of the family. When I started to say things like, I don't like that, or hey, like I have to go, like I have to get off the phone, and putting my foot down. At first, I felt like I was being a little too much and I was started to question it. But the trick with this is you have to stay consistent and you have to believe that the boundary that you want to enforce is there for a reason. Don't let other people make you question it.
You're talking clarity and self-respect. You're talking clarity with yourself or clarity with the person who's crossing the boundary?
Well, I think you can't be clear with somebody else until you're first clear with yourself. So to self examine when you leave a party and you're like, God, I feel off. And then it's that self examination of, why do I feel off? Why do I feel kind of yucky and just not like I should feel after I'm around people that love me and want to support me? And then it could be like, well, it's, this person. Every time I see them, they make a side comment about my job, or, they don't take whatever I do seriously. Then it's identifying that, getting clear on, I don't like that. I don't want that anymore. And having the self respect to then come to that person the next time they do it, to nip it in the butt immediately and to say, hey, I know this has been a thing, like a funny joke that you do. I don't like it. And then it's up to them to show you whether or not they respect you or not.
Yeah.
So, what are some other examples like co parenting boundaries? What are some boundaries that you've set or we've set in our co parenting experience?
I think with past relationships, I set a boundary of like of no big decisions will be made without the other parent involved. Whether it's like dental or medical or schooling, there's a good line of communication there. That's kind of like an unwritten boundary as humans. You don't really like exes tend to talk shit on exes all the time, and that's fine. But the boundary is set where it doesn't happen in front of the children. And it's kind of, at least with my past relationships, it's been unwritten, unsaid. And we might have said it between each other once or twice, but the end goal is there, raise the child in a loving atmosphere and don't let them see the faults of the other parent. At some point in time, they'll grow up and they'll ask their own questions. Like with my son, he didn't ask me any questions until he was like 16, where he had questions of his own that he asked. And I was open and willing to answer all of them. But
so, what about co parenting then? What about the new person, the new significant other that's not the parent? Like, what boundaries have we set there?
I think the first boundary that comes to mind is like discipline. With me and Hendrix, like I don't discipline Hendrix. If he gets in trouble, that's for you and your ex to deal with, not me. Now there might be a point in time where you give me a look and you're like, oh my God, like he's not listening, and then I'll talk to him.
I mean, you have like the whole bedtime thing.
Yeah, that's different though. That's the bedtime routine where we're trying to sleep train. When he sees you, he feels victory from that. So if I step in between as a buffer, he's like, damn it, I got to go back to my bed.
And then he stays in the bed, that little shit.
Yeah. And if you tuck him in, he'll get back up and come back out. But if I tuck him in, then he stays in.
Well, look who's going to be tucking him in the middle of the night.
And it's worked. I mean, the last 3 nights he was here, he slept in his own bed, never got out of bed once. Christmas Eve, he did not Wait,
I know. I had
I,
to go check on
I had to
him.
poke him in the forehead to wake him up Christmas morning. Like, hey, dude, it's 8. Like,
It was like 6:45 and I was like, where are you?
yeah,
Your light turned green like an hour and a half ago.
yeah, it is 8 o'clock in the morning, 8:30 in the morning, something like that. And he's still sleeping. And I'm like, dude, I want to make coffee. Like, I got to be noisy. Like, time to get up. His little get up.
Yeah.
So
You
I
did that?
said, get up.
Yeah. Get up. It's sunny out.
Yeah.
Another clear boundary that we must set, and especially for the co-parents, is the ex needs to know that there will be no shit talking of the new significant other.
Mhm. You can shit talk all you want, just not to the children.
Yeah, don't put the kids in the middle. That's like a hard boundary for me. I know what it's like to be put in the middle between my parents as a, teenager. It's awful. It's stressful. It's emotionally draining and you just feel you're like, what do I do? I love both sides. They're my parents. So in this situation with co-parents, it's easy to be the new girlfriend or boyfriend and to just start shit talking
Yeah.
about the other because, you see and you hear all how awful they are. But as soon as the kids are involved, it's like, shut the fuck up.
Mm.
Do not say anything disparaging about their parent or the girlfriend or boyfriend of the other parent. Like, that's just one way to make your child first not trust themselves and their own instincts. Because what if your child loves your dad's new girlfriend? Like,
Yeah.
what happens then? Then there's probably going to be resentment forming from the child to, the other parent that's talking shit.
Yeah. There's a hard line that you can cross, but it comes down to self-discipline. Just shut your mouth, have the discipline to know that the child's being happy, that a child is innocent. They shouldn't be exposed to, harsh realities until they're teenagers. That's what the teenage years are for. It's becoming an adult. But for a child to repeat something that another parent said, or a boyfriend or girlfriend of a parent said, and the parent not intervene or say anything right then and there, then that's a problem. Like, I haven't done it, but if I were to, and I were to talk shit about Hendrix's dad in front of Hendrix, you would immediately say, no, knock it off, enough. And we haven't done that, but I can just hear you saying it.
I just know personally what it's like.
I really don't have any gripes with any of my exes and their boyfriends or husbands. I really could care less. Like, that's your thing. You do you live your life. We just happen to cross paths in our lives. My life and your life cross paths, and now you're dating my daughter's mother. I don't care. I hope you guys have a
Just
good
treat
relationship.
my kid
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, I could care less. You can date whoever you want.
Oh, I thought you meant you don't care about how they treat your child. I'm
no,
like, what?
I'll go to fucking prison.
Okay. Just want to make sure that was clear.
Yep. I will
Okay.
go to fucking prison. You put hands on my kid.
Yeah. And okay, the other one I think of that we're both guilty of is family boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
Like saying I can't or no to family members when they need help in some way. Especially when saying yes, you're like, ugh, like you just feel all your happy energy leave the body. That's a boundary.
Mm-hmm.
And
or it's a sign that your boundary's been crossed and you didn't know it.
yeah, that feeling that or just that yucky uneasiness when you second guess the decision, that's most likely you second or crossing your own boundary and just missing that sign, missing the clue of, hey, red flag.
Mm-hmm.
Don't like that.
Yeah, and know your own limitations. When you're setting your boundary, don't set the bar so low for yourself that you come off as a douchebag,
selfish prick.
Yeah, I mean, like for me, my mom died, so I don't have any boundaries that get crossed there. And with my dad, geographically, he's 1,200 miles away, so there's a limitation on what can and can't be done to help him, or vice versa. He helped me.
But you're the big brother. So sometimes I've heard it like, be the big brother, help out or something. And I get that with, my sister and like,
Yeah, and there has been a few times, where my sister was going through some stuff. My sister's here local with us, but she was going through some stuff, and she kind of ghosted everybody. I knew what she was doing because I tend to do it myself, and I think it might be something we picked up off of from my mom. I don't know. I can't piece it together right now. Maybe it's a conversation for me to have with my sister, but she kind of ghosted everyone and everything going on in her life because she was struggling with her own personal issues in her relationship. And when she resurfaced from ghosting everybody and everything, the whole time she ghosted, my dad was texting me, calling me, "Hey, have you talked to your sister? What's she doing? She's not returning my text. Is she okay? Is she fine?" I'm like, "Yeah, I just
you're
saw."
like, leave her
I was
be.
like, "I just saw her. Like, she's fine.
Yeah.
Like,
Like,
like chill.
yeah, I
It's all
get
right."
that.
But it's it's a dad instinct. I don't blame him for doing it. But asking me to reach out to her to feed back to him, and it's like, come on, like she'll reach out when she's ready, and I feel like that happens quite often. I see it at work all the time.
Like the big sibling, the oldest.
What I see happen is there's a third person involved that doesn't need to be involved. And they're there solely because the other person that should be involved has shut themselves down and pushed everything onto that person. And that person didn't set boundaries for themselves. So they allowed it to happen. And now they're speaking for the other person. It's like, what? It's really annoying. But
Yeah,
I
I think the family ones are definitely
yeah, and then I mean, we're in close proximity to your family right now, living here, and because our house, if you haven't watched our episodes, our house burned down, so we're
what?
relocated.
Our house did not burn down, you crazy. We had an
Two
attic fire
two
and we
rooms caught on fire, and then we busted the walls, and we're remodeling the house. But currently, we're living here, and there's times where things are asked of me to do, and I don't have a problem doing it whatsoever. I mean, they've extended their generosity in having us here. And there could be a time where, we're busy doing something, and then asked to do something. And you're right. Like, I feel a sense of guilt almost, like, oh man, I really don't want to say no because, X, Y, and Z, we're here and all that. But I have to say no sometimes. Like, no, I can't do that, or I can't get around to that, or I can do it when I get back, but I'm not going to be back for X amount of time.
that's definitely one way. That reminds me of like if you feel guilty saying no, but you do want to help, but you physically can't in this moment, you could just say, "Hey, I can't right now, but can I do it, in 2 days from now?" Instead of, "I can't do it right now because I'm hunting and I'm like stuck here and I got a nail in my tire," and over explaining why you can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's, "Hey, I can't, but I could help you on this day. Does that work?"
Mm-hmm.
So the over explanation, that was one that when I realized that I had shitty boundaries, I would over explain my reasoning. Like I had to justify why no was not an answer, why I needed an example and all these, things behind it. And then I just realized I'm like, whoa, chill. Like I need to calm down. Like my nervous system needs to settle and relax a little bit because no is an answer. Yes is an answer. No is an answer. So if you just want to say no, nope, not doing it. That's fine. I think it's kind of weird to just say no.
I
But
mean,
like, no, thanks for asking though.
it depends on the question or what boundaries being broke. But like for me, I want to hear yes or no. I don't want your explanation. I don't want your story. I have to listen to people's stories all day long at work, when I'm home, and in my personal life. If it's a straightforward answer, just give me a straightforward answer. I don't care about all the fluff.
Yeah.
Can you do this? No. Okay.
Or the maybes drive me
Yeah.
nuts.
Well, let's see if we can do this,
Yeah.
or
Let me see how I'm
yeah.
feeling later. It's like
Yeah.
I'd rather you just say no now so I don't have to postpone my day in planning, say my
Yeah.
evening, waiting for your maybe to become a yes. I personally, if anybody says maybe to me, I just take it as a no.
Mm.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah. And
I
I
think it's
mean,
easier.
except last night, I was like, please, God, don't show up to your appointment. We
Oh,
were hunting yesterday. I had a deer in sight. I released an arrow at 40 yards, and when I did, I felt something weird in the bow, and I missed by like 2 feet to the left. I'm like, well, that's weird. So I reloaded, and when I went to reload, I realized that the arrow rest snapped off on the release. And so we hauled ass. We went to the sporting goods here in town. I picked up a new arrow rest, and then we go back to hunting. I park the truck. I get out of the truck, and I go, you got to be fucking kidding me. And there's a 10-penny nail in my fucking tire. And I'm like, great. So luckily I had a spare set of tires. So I threw the tires in the bed of the truck, went over to the tire center, and it's like 4:40 at night or in the afternoon. And I'm
Dark
like,
here.
yeah, it's dark here. But I'm like, hey, can you guys squeeze in a tire change? I've got a nail in my tire. I just want to take the 4 that are on it off, put the 4 that are in the bed of the truck on, and call it good. And the guy's like, well, we got a 5 o'clock appointment. If he doesn't show up by 5:10, I'll cancel the appointment and we can squeeze you in. So I'm like, okay, I'll take your maybe as a yes, and I'm going to sit in the parking lot.
But that's, I feel like, different than a friend going, maybe
Yeah.
we'll get together.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
Or, yeah, over-explaining is a giant flag for me. I'll catch myself. Or, like, oversharing. Oversharing is another boundary that you're crossing in your own life. Like, I used to overshare to all kinds of people, and now I kind of view it as, like, you're not in my circle. Like, I had a friend who used to be in my circle, and I feel like she literally just met with me for an evening to check in, to see what I was up to see how my new relationship was. Haven't seen or really talked to her since. And I'm like, ew. Like, I overshared because I used to share and we had a good relationship. But now, like, that was purely just oversharing to somebody who is not in my inner circle anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So be very conservative with who you share stuff with. It's not that don't trust anybody, but it's like, not everybody needs to know your personal business. We're talking here on, a podcast, sharing stuff, but I feel like the old me, I would have, used specific examples or even names of people. And now it's like, I don't need to. I think I can get the gist of, what we're trying to get across by sharing part of an example, I feel better about myself. I don't feel like I'm extending all my energy out to people who will not give me anything back. What are some other telltale signs of you having a boundary that was crossed?
I have a problem setting the boundary because I have a problem telling my friends no, or my family no, or anybody. Like, do you have time to help me do this? And I just worked a 10-hour shift. I'm on my way home. I haven't eaten dinner. I haven't showered. And I'm like, yeah, sure. I'll come help.
Or, hey, can you help me put the plow on? It'll only take 5 minutes. And I know you have to leave for work in 20. And I'm the one in the house keeping an eye. And then I come out there. I'm like, Dad, I said, he has to leave 5 minutes ago now. Like, he's gonna be late, and he can't be late.
Mm-hmm. But to me, that stuff doesn't bother me. I enjoy doing that stuff. It's just sometimes I think I can do things in a time limit and it extends beyond it for whatever reason. Like that one, it should have taken 5 minutes. However, it took 20. We got it on before I left.
So how can you set a healthier boundary when people ask you for help?
Just say no.
Real. You said you like helping them. So
yeah, I like helping anybody. But
what if you said, I'm just now getting off work. I haven't eaten. How about I meet you after dinner? Right. Or, like giving them the yes that you want to give them, but also respecting your like actual physical needs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How does that make you feel?
I mean, if I say no, I feel like shit. So I just got to set a boundary with myself to say, you know what, it's okay to say no sometimes.
That was like me creating a boundary with asking for help. When I was a brand new mom, I was like, I just viewed asking as being too vulnerable, and I just didn't like, I'm like, I can do it. I'm independent. I don't need your help type of thing. And then
I don't need you.
Exactly. And then I realized that I was not eating at all, and I was trying to breastfeed a newborn, but the house was clean. And so that was a boundary I had to set with myself. Like, I was betraying myself by not asking for help because I didn't want to look weak.
Mhm.
But it's like, to that point, you look stupid. You're literally like malnourished, breastfeeding, but you can do it on your own. It's like, how dumb does that look? So I think it goes kind of both ways, like setting a boundary to preserve yourself, but also like setting boundaries for yourself, like to benefit from help. I think just identifying areas in your life that need some attention is probably the first thing that you could do. Start writing down areas where you don't feel like you're performing or feel at your best. It could be, a boundary like we've talked about, or it could be, something like asking for help.
You're talking about setting boundaries. How do you go about setting a boundary if you've never set one for yourself?
The key to setting boundaries is first getting clear on the boundary that you'd like to set. And then the second thing is firmly yet calmly enforcing it. And the most important one is staying consistent. Because if you say, hey, when you joke about my job, I just don't like it. I don't find it funny and it makes me resent you. And they're like, okay, yeah, yeah. And then a week goes by and they start to do it again. And you go, oh, well, I already said it. You're then betraying the boundary that you just enforced last week. So staying consistent with it and going at the same energy level. Hey, remember last week I brought that up? You did it again. I just want to remind you that I don't like it. And oh, yeah, yeah. And if they keep doing it, you could be like, all right, I've asked you 3 times now. If you can't respect my boundaries, then you clearly don't respect me. You don't need to say it like that because that sounds a little accusatory, but that's the mindset I have around it.
Yeah.
It's like, I've voiced this to you numerous times. I'm not sure what I'm not getting across clearly. Like, I very clearly stated I don't like the jokes.
How can I reword it for your dumb mind?
Yeah. Like, how can I rephrase this where you understand, or is it just that you don't respect my boundary?
Okay. When you're setting that boundary, how do you feel internally? Like
Freaking out.
why?
Like the boundaries that I started to enforce were with my ex-husband when we were still going through divorce, yet I was a new mom. And it was, hey, I'm not going to have you speak to me that way. Even though our son is a month old, I will not have you speak to me or roll your eyes in that manner in my home.
Yeah.
Because this is my home and you'll respect me. And then it happened again. And then it's like, okay, hey, I think your visitation is over. Like, I'm not going to extend the visitation when you're being a dickhead. But then it was, oh, you're starting to respect my boundaries and you're knocking at the front door and you're not just barging in and rolling your eyes and all this negative energy. It was slowly, I started to be like, oh my God, it's working. And I started to feel more empowered. The one thing, and I think I've talked about this before, when I was still pregnant, but actively going through an ugly, very emotional divorce, I read the book Untethered Soul. And it taught you a lot about understanding yourself, respecting yourself, all that self-respect that we're talking about. But the analogy that I liked to use, because I'm an empath and I can I feel so much. I feel the energy from the person I'm talking to. And if they're getting angry, I'm like, oh God, oh God, oh God, and then I'm not thinking logically. So before every interaction I would have for our visitations with our newborn, I would look in the mirror and say, I trust myself. I know myself. But then the analogy that I used was I was in a climate controlled car with my son in his car seat in the back. And I had my favorite song on, whatever that was. I just had the perfect playlist. The temperature in the car was amazing. And I envisioned the drama and the shit being physical, like shit, like maybe bird shit coming at my windshield. And all I had to do was turn on my windshield wipers and just keep driving because I was safe. I'm safe. That's a huge one that I use too. I had sticky notes all over the place in my house, but I am safe. That was a way to like help regulate my nervous system so that my brain started to work more logically. Because when you're in fight or flight, you just like survival, and you're not, you like, words are hard or stuttering. Like I would stutter and just do all this stuff, and I'm like, I'm safe. I'm safe. It's okay. Like, and the self-soothing really helps in those moments when you start to set a boundary and you're freaking out internally, second guessing yourself and wondering, am I coming off too controlling? Am I being a bitch? Am I being selfish? Oh no, are they going to leave me? And all the frantic thoughts. It's like, whoa, just deep breaths. I am safe. I know myself. I respect myself. And that's huge.
So when you set that, what are some of the fears that you have when you set that particular boundary or other boundaries?
For me, the biggest fear I had with him was, before the divorce, setting a boundary, he's going to leave me. I'm not good enough. The self-worth, oh my God. Like, if I stick up for myself, he's going to leave. And then in the end, he fucking left anyway. So then I realized, oh, it doesn't matter if I completely contort, and erase all my boundaries. Like, that fear, if I am afraid of that, it's going to happen, like, don't hit the pole type of thing. When you're on a motorcycle, don't hit the pole. Well, what do? You hit the pole because you're focusing on what you don't want. So I choose to focus now on what I want. And I remind myself, like, are the second guessing thoughts, are they coming from my head or are they coming from my heart? And knowing that a lot of those are normally my overthinking brain making me second guess the decision that I made.
I mean, it makes sense. What are some other ways that you stay consistent in your boundaries?
What are the other ways that I stay consistent?
Yeah.
I mean, I just remind myself why I set them. To stay consistent, you just have to be consistent.
Okay.
You have to reinforce. Consistency is how you stay, true to anything. If you're consistent in the gym, you're going to see your body transform. If you're consistent in your diet, you're going to have a healthier body, healthier skin. So I think in order to find out what boundaries feel like, you have to stick with them. You can't do it for about a month and go, kind of uncomfortable. I don't like it, because then you start to lose self-respect. You're betraying yourself if you then let the boundaries and the things that you're enforcing slide away.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think of like boundaries that I have that.
I think it's mainly you want to help everybody.
Yeah.
So you are ultimately betraying yourself, like maybe your sleep or eating or your time, like quality time, when you say yes to somebody that you hardly know and you've been working 10-hour shifts, even overtime, and you say yes to that, then you're betraying your own needs. But then I might start to resent you, so it kind of like snowballs into, it starts to affect the people around you.
Yeah. And I think like my biggest boundary that I had to set was with the detailing company, saying no, I can't fit it in today, but I can schedule you for tomorrow or whatever. This last summer kicked my ass.
What is the fear if you say no?
Then lose their business.
So same thing. What is the fear if you say no to loved ones?
I don't do well when people like whine or bitch or nag. So when I feel like if I say no, it'll be like, oh, come on, you can't do it. And that fucking pisses me off. So sometimes I'd rather just do it so I don't have to deal with the aftermath of somebody not liking the boundary.
What if you said no and they're like, okay, what would happen then?
I'd be like, well, fuck, all right.
Yeah, you're like, shit.
I'd be like, cool, see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like, no big deal. I feel like my upbringing, my family, we came from nothing. So we have always done our best to help those around us, because one day you might need something from one of those people, or need a little help,
So is that like, I'm going to do this for you because I might need help in the future?
No, it's not like you were saying earlier. It's not an ultimatum of, well, if I help you now, you have to help me later. But it increases your chances of getting help from that person if you've helped them, multiple occasions. Um, and I think back to military, and there's a lot of times where supporting units and supporting agencies, 3-letter agencies, that they would lend their material and support and technology to us in a time of need, and then 2-3 months down the road they might need a quick reaction force, and we launch out of our base and go help them because they're pinned down, and it just builds good relationships when you can help each other. And for me, when I help somebody out, there's no expectation when I help somebody out. If I help someone, it's just because I can help. It's just kind of how I am, how I was raised. Help the people around you.
What are some good ways and good examples of setting boundaries in a relationship? What is a good boundary in our relationship that others could learn from?
I think of in a relationship, I think it's like for me, I'm very black and white. So military upbringing, law enforcement now. What's my policy and procedure? What is my standard operating procedure for this life that we live? Take your shoes off at the door. All right. Tough one for me because I'm always in and out and in and out and in and out, and I wear boots that lace up. So they're a pain in the ass to take off and put back on and take off and put back on. But it was an expectation that you had set and wanted. And I just said, okay, well, I sacrifice my speed and efficiency for taking my boots off and not bringing in, meth labs and dirt and dog feces and urine and whatever's in the streets into the home, which I'm okay with. And it doesn't bother me anymore. But before, it was like, God, like, come on, I just got to grab one thing and it's a hard surface. I get carpet, but it's a hard surface. Who cares? I'll be in and out. Some other boundaries, you and I are at a point where we need to discuss something. We don't just lay it on each other. I don't just come in and say, babe, I don't like that you do this, this, and this. We kind of bring it up in conversation and say, hey, when you get some time and you have some free time and you can give me your undivided attention, this is bothering me. And then you usually are like, okay, let's talk now. And whenever you want to offload stressors onto me, I think it's an unwritten boundary between us both that we recognize the kind of day we've had. Like, okay, I can tell from talking to you all day that you're irritated. I'm not going to walk in the door and say, babe, this, and this, and this need to change. It's not going to happen.
It's not going to be well received.
It's not going to be well received.
So I'd say another good boundary for a romantic relationship is keeping your personal problems in your relationship and not oversharing with people outside of the two of you. I think there is obviously going to be some stuff shared. I personally had a couple friends and I didn't share much of any struggles, and I felt so isolated and alone. So I think there's some things that you can like, what's your opinion on this? But it's like, if you're going to bitch every single time to your friends about your significant other, they're eventually going to be like, why are you with him? And they're not going to probably look at him the same if they know every single weird little detail.
Yeah. And if you're bitching to your friends or you're venting to your friends about an issue that we're having, and I don't know about the issue and you haven't come to me with it, that's a problem.
Yeah. So us talking about it first is always, I think, what we do. That's a healthy, good boundary. I'd say, what's a boundary that we can set with family members? I don't like hearing about every single complaint. Like, it's emotionally, for me, it's so draining and it makes me not want to reach out to my family if every time I call, they're like, well, did you hear this bad news? And did you hear about this person and this and the world's, it's awful. Like that has become a more firm boundary that I started enforcing over the last few years. It's like, hey, my time on a phone is limited, especially with young kids, like, them running around, being loud, and me being overstimulated, and then being on a phone to hear about somebody else's bad news.
Mhm.
That's become a boundary that at first I felt bad, like, oh, but they want to vent to me.
Mhm.
But then it's like, okay, if that's all they're doing, like there needs to be a boundary. So that's one that I'm still working on how to deliver said boundary, like
Yeah.
saying, hey, like I want to talk to you. I would love to hear what's going on in your life. What are some new things that you're trying? What are some new
Mhm.
workouts that you're really enjoying or recipes? But when you come to me and the only thing that I hear is about the drama, it makes me not want to, pick up the phone.
Yeah, and I mean, for me, like I said, my mom passed away, and my dad's geographically far, so I enjoy conversing, and I think it's an unwritten boundary between the two of us that he really doesn't bitch to me anyway. I mean, maybe about like work stuff or his outfitter and doing all that, the communications that go on, the small talk that goes on. I receive it well because I understand what is happening, and I understand what he's feeling. So I kind of invite it because who else is he going to bitch to?
Yeah. And I don't think that's a boundary that you need to set. So, me saying that that's my boundary doesn't mean that it has to be yours with your dad.
Right. And
I think yours would be feeling the obligation to fix things that are outside of you. So, you are the big brother to come,
mm,
rescue or check in like you have been, like, oh, see what she's up to. It's like, no,
yeah,
I'm not gonna come in and try to play superhero type of thing.
yeah, and it is probably because I tend to give decent advice and I don't really let their emotions consume my day.
Another example that of good boundary setting at work. I love the way that this one girl said this. She worked at a spa, and this coworker would make like sexual innuendos all the time. And he started to do it towards her, and she said, I don't like joking like that. And that's all she said. And they were like, oh, okay. But like hard lines need to be set as soon as you can. Work relationships, there can be that like flirtation with a coworker, and it's like, hey, I need to set this boundary. Like, I don't mind. I like talking to you, but if it's starting to get unprofessional, like we're gonna have to, stop talking. And setting something like that for a professional environment can really make the whole team respect you more, because if one person starts making all these sexual innuendos and you do nothing about it, the next person might be like, oh, well, that person has no boundaries, so why don't I go try to, take a picture of her butt, or, like, and it could snowball. So like
Mm.
the importance of identifying the boundary that was crossed and nipping it in the butt and verbalizing it right away is going to leave you in a much stronger position than if you just keep letting it slide because you don't like confrontation.
Yeah.
And it's harder to come back from boundary crossed, boundary crossed, boundary crossed to then going, hey, I'm going to now set a boundary. They're going to be like, wait, excuse me? Because that's what happens with family. They're like, but I've known you like this. You've never said no before.
Mm.
And it's hard at first. It's like, yeah, well, guess what? That's what a boundary looks like, bitch.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's different. You know,
Hey, you get flirted with plenty.
yeah, but it never amounts to anything.
That doesn't mean anything. It could be that, hey, like,
Well, okay, so I did set a boundary. Hey, can I take a picture? Nope, but you can take a picture with him.
yeah,
You know,
you get asked a lot.
yeah.
Will you take a picture?
Yeah. And, I just stopped doing it. And out of respect for you and out of respect for me, I don't know where that photo is going to go. Like you said, like with the flirtation and nipping it in the bud, I don't have that issue whatsoever with coworkers. It's with the public, and I'm not even talking flirting. It's personal space. A lot of it has to do with officer safety and all that, but personal space, like you will stay one arm's distance away from me. And that was something that was Marine Corps deal with drill instructors. It was, I won't name names so nobody gets court-martialed, but if a recruit went within one arm's distance of a drill instructor taught him by a straight open hand shove saying, keep one arm's distance away from me. And I think just that, going through boot camp and dealing with 13 weeks of that, and then it just trickled into the rest of my life where unless I want you in my bubble, I do not want you within arm's reach of me.
That reminds me of that
Stay away from
guy
me.
at the local drinking spot, and he kept leaning on you, and I saw your
Oh,
tolerance just start. Your patience was just disappearing quickly.
Yeah, diminished quick.
And then you just stood up very abruptly and you're like, get the fuck off me. You need to go home.
Yeah.
Go home. And
Yeah.
everyone else in the bar like thanked him after. But yeah, I mean, doing that to strangers, that's hard for me. Doing like
I don't care.
if somebody's like, hey, what's your name? Like, or oh,
Steve.
you're pretty. It's like, oh, thanks. And then being polite and like if they're trying to talk, like acknowledging them every time. But then that drunk guy that was leaning on you, I just turn the other way. And that's not something that I normally do because I don't want to come off as rude. Like that's a fear. Am I going to be bitchy if I
Right.
How dare I set a boundary with a strange drunk man?
And
So,
I
yeah.
think that's another reason why I struggle with boundaries, because I really don't give a fuck what people think of me. I really don't care if
So you don't struggle with boundaries then?
I struggle with setting them. I struggle with saying, okay, like when is enough for me, physically, like saying no to a friend or family member who needs help. I struggle with saying no because if I'm upright and breathing and willing and able, then why not? But
your boundaries are firm with strangers, I would say. You don't struggle.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, you just said you struggled with strangers. I'm like, no, you don't. You don't give two shits. You're like,
I don't care what people think of me.
Or yeah, you like, what about the guy when I did the ride along? You had like the guy at your window and he's like tapping it, tap, 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 tap. And you like rolled it down a little bit and he's like, could I take a picture? You're like, no, roll it up like as you're saying no.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, you came off like a dick. You're like, I don't care. That's a stupid question. He didn't need me.
Yeah.
He's wasted.
Yeah. I'm typing a report.
Yeah. Like
excuse me.
I'm working. I'm not going to get out of my car to take a fucking picture.
You want a lollipop for $1? No.
Suck for a buck.
You suck for a buck? No. Go away.
Yeah, I don't know why that's something I struggle with is the stranger part. Like, why does it matter? Or the misconception. That was a big thing in my divorce. I think I had to accept that people were going to perceive me in whatever way because of whatever was said on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
Who cares though? I'm not going to spend my very limited amount of energy that I had to justify or to explain to people who don't know me and don't even have the decency to ask me, hey, I heard this. Did that really happen? If somebody's not going to come to you to clarify and say, hey, I heard you, cheated on your husband, I'd be like, wow, thanks for coming to me. Thank you for checking in with me to see if that was true. But if they're like, oh, well, she cheated, I'd be like, you can go fuck yourself because you don't even know half. There's definitely a fine line. Over-explaining, especially over-explaining with strangers, waste of your time. Stop doing it.
Yeah. If you need an explanation, you can ask me why. Otherwise, you're getting a yes or a no.
Yeah, and that's definitely something that I can still work on. Yes and no's seem so short, and sometimes I like to talk. Weird.
Mhm.
But yeah, so giving a no is an answer. I heard somewhere from like a salesperson, they were like, no is my second favorite answer.
Mhm.
Don't give me a maybe. I loved that. So yes and no, those are full sentences. You don't have to over explain. If you start to get resentful after you say yes to somebody, that is most likely because there is a boundary that you didn't even know you had internally that was crossed.
Mhm.
So if you start to build resentment towards somebody, take a second to reflect on like, why is this bothering me? And then it might be a couple days later that it hits you, but start asking yourself those questions when you start to feel a little off. Or I like to use the word yucky because there were plenty of times where I would go to a friend's house and I'd leave kind of feeling yucky. And I'm like, why? Oh, because I don't like just talking trash about people.
Mhm.
Like that's a boundary. I don't want to do that. I don't
Mhm.
like doing that. I like talking about how we are going to save the world and how we're bettering our life and, like fun plans that we have, where we want to travel to. I want to talk about the present and the future. I don't want to talk about the past. I don't like it. It makes me feel gross. So that's a boundary that a lot of people, I think you guys could benefit from. Just be mindful of what your conversations are like with your quote unquote friends.
Yeah.
Well, I hope that what we've discussed on boundaries kind of helps you. What are some boundaries that you are currently struggling with? What is the fear that you have around setting a boundary? We'd love to hear them in the comments, and we might just read them in a future episode. And we will never list your name. We will just say, hey, a
Yeah.
listener. A
An
listener
anonymous
asked this
listener.
question, or a listener shared this part about boundary setting.
Yeah.
So if you guys enjoyed the show, please interact with us. Let us know that it was well received. We pay attention to our insights and our analytics. So when we see a lot of thumbs ups or we see comments, we know that this was a topic that you guys enjoyed. So if you guys aren't already subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button, thumbs up the episode if you like it, and
Yeah.
share with your loved ones if you feel like they need to set some better boundaries.
Yeah. And, if you like this episode and haven't seen our other ones, watch our other ones too.
Yeah.
And namaste.